in New Jersey, I'm from New Jersey, I'm giving this example, very important one. In New Jersey, last year, there was an India Day parade. Some of you may have read this in the news. The India Day parade, different people were participating in things like that. And apparently there was a bulldozer that displayed Modi ji and Yogi Adityanath ji's pictures, things like that. So, of course, organizations that have an axe to grind with our community decided to make that an anti-Muslim symbol. Now, they forget about the politics, the Indian politics, things like that. We can discuss that at a separate point. But they went so far in to say not only is this an anti-Muslim symbol, it's actually, they called for an FBI investigation. Let me repeat, an FBI investigation into Hindu organizations without any iota of proof that any Hindu organization was involved in that parade. It just happened to be that HSS, Hindu Service, had a float before that bulldozer. But the narrative essentially was twisted so badly that all of a sudden you had all these congressional members. You're talking about from the senators to congressmen to the local assembly members, basically saying that this is Islamophobic. Now, the problem is you can debate the controversial situations, etc. But to wholesale take an entire community and say this community, the reputable organizations in this community need to go under federal investigation, that is Hinduphobia at its peak. So the community got a shock in New Jersey. And luckily, what we decided to do is we fought back. So a bunch of organizations came together and started to educate lawmakers very quickly. And all of a sudden, the tide turned, where you had different lawmakers condemning this bigotry, condemning Hinduphobia, condemning anti-Hindu hate, things like that, all the way to the senators. So the state senators. So that is the power of advocacy. Remember, folks, if I have to explain what advocacy is, it's just very simple. It is you go and represent yourself. Nobody else should be representing you. You advocate for whatever it is. In this case, we're advocating for the Hindu community. It could be for women's rights or whatever the case is. So 3 years ago, when we started Kona, the objective was to create a grassroots level movement. So many people don't know what grassroots is, so I've explained to you. If you think about a political, presidential election or something like that, there are people who go from, houses to houses. They create booths, they create all these phone campaigns, phone banks to talk about the president, the candidate. They don't know everything about the candidate, by the way. They don't need to know. All they have is a script that just says, please vote for this guy or this girl. He's going to make a good president. They make a call, they do all this. That's called grassroots advocacy. So our focus really is to create that amongst every single person here and beyond. You don't have to have any experience in Hinduism, Hindu advocacy, any political process. This is not politics. This is just getting involved to make your voice heard. Because as Dr. Japra said, we are in this mess today because we are not been part of the process. Our kids compare Goldman Sachs salaries to salaries in the, as a congressional staffer. There's no comparison, folks. There's never going to be a comparison. But you see other communities have successfully put their folks in these things, from congressional staffers to local level at the mayor's office, all the way to different places, small board of education, etc. So until they get involved in that, until they see enough brown faces, until they see enough pro-Hindu brown faces where our voices are heard, this is not going to change. So we are the toddlers going up against grown-ups, but we have to grow up very fast. And if we don't do that, if we don't participate in educating, so in your local library, in your local school, in your local city council, in your local state level, whatever the different places are, you have to tell them what your issues are. We are, as a community, we don't talk about us as quote unquote victims. We think it's a bad word. But you know what? I'll tell you my story. When I came to the US, when I was 15 years old, I had a guy throw a shopping cart at me, all because I was brown. I mean, imagine picking up a shopping cart and someone throwing at you. And I was only 15 years old. Every single day, one girl used to tell me, do you eat monkey brains for breakfast? All right. Yeah, it sounds funny now, but it wasn't funny when I was 15. All right. So imagine the trauma that I had to go through, and there's more. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because at that time, I had a support network of people who helped me go through that. And I became part of the Hindu Students Council and, then later on Kona and things like that. But the reason we decided to start Kona is because we want to empower every single person sitting here to make a change, to become part of the process. Because as Sandeep ji said earlier, if you're not at the table, you're going to be on the menu. And believe me, we are on the menu and we look really damn good as a meal right now. All right. So please keep that in mind. And one final point, and I'm sure we'll talk about this. Other communities that we have studied have a very good partnership between nonprofit organizations and their PAC organizations. So both the PAC organizations and the nonprofits have to work hand in hand to protect the community's interests. Because 501c3 organizations cannot fund political candidates, while PACs can do that, but they cannot do educational things. So there's like a fine line between the two, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more because a lot of people have that confusion. So I just wanted to conclude that with that.
Thank you. I think that was wonderful. Wonderful.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.